Hello and welcome. Have you ever really stopped to wonder what a data analyst actually does all day? Well, we're going to walk through it step by step. I mean, if you've ever just looked at a massive spreadsheet and felt completely overwhelmed by this sea of numbers, you are definitely not alone. It can seriously look like a different language, right? But what if I told you there's a clear, straightforward process for turning all that chaos into real clarity? So, in this explainer, we are going to break down the 5 key steps that an analyst uses to transform that raw data into a genuinely powerful story. You ready? All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so everything, and I mean everything, starts with step 1, preparing the data. I love this analogy. Think of it like a chef getting all their ingredients prepped before they even think about cooking. This first step, it's the foundation for literally everything that comes next.
So, what does prepare really mean here? Well, it's all about making sure the data you're working with is trustworthy and accurate. You just can't build a solid analysis on a shaky foundation, right? So, this is the point where an analyst makes sure the information they have is solid. And this involves some really critical tasks. We're talking about correcting wrong or just plain inaccurate data, figuring out how to handle any missing information, maybe converting data to make it way more readable, and this one is super important, making sure any private information stays private and secure. And the stakes here are incredibly high. This quote really says it all. Bad data leads to bad reports, people losing trust, and just bad business decisions. Getting this first step right is absolutely vital. So you can see how all this hard work right at the beginning really pays off. When you have clean, well-prepared data, it makes the next step, which is modeling, so much easier. All right, so welcome to step 2, modeling the data. Our ingredients are all prepped and ready to go. Now it's time to figure out how they all fit together. This is where we start building the blueprint, the actual structure for all of our data. So what is data modeling? Honestly, it's kind of like building a family tree for your data. You're defining how all these different sets of information, we call them tables, are connected to each other. You're creating these relationships that show how, for instance, a customer table is related to a sales table. It's all about connection. And this is why a good model matters so much. A well-designed model, it's like a finely tuned, smooth-running machine. It gets you accurate reports, and it's fast. A poorly designed one, it's just the opposite. It's like a broken machine that spits out inaccurate results and becomes a total nightmare to maintain. Okay, so our data is clean, our model is built, and now we get to the really fun, creative part of the whole journey. Step 3 is all about visualizing the story that's been hiding inside all those numbers. And look, the goal here isn't just to make a bunch of pretty charts. The real point is to solve business problems by telling a compelling story with the data. A truly great visualization doesn't just show numbers. It guides a decision maker through the data, leading them straight to the key insights fast. So what makes a great visualization? Well, there are a few key things. First, you have to tell a concise story. Sometimes throwing too much data on the screen just hides the important stuff. It's also about choosing the right kind of visual for the data you have. And, super important, designing it with accessibility in mind. Thinking about colors, fonts, and sizing so that everyone can easily understand it. Okay, so we've got these beautiful, clear visuals. Now what? Well, that brings us to step 4, analyzing for insights. This is where we kind of put on our detective hats and really start digging into what these visuals are telling us. Really, analysis is all about translating that visual story into insights you can actually do something with. It's where you dig deeper to understand the patterns, spot the trends, and maybe even start to predict what could happen next, all based on the information right in front of you. You can really break this whole analysis process down into 4 key actions. First, you're hunting for those aha moments, those key insights. Second, you're identifying the bigger patterns and trends. Third, you try to predict future outcomes. And fourth, and this is crucial, you have to communicate all those insights clearly so that everybody gets it. So, we've found our amazing insights, but the job's not over yet. Nope. There's one final, really crucial step. Step 5, manage and share. This is all about making sure all that hard work actually gets to the right people, and that it gets there securely and efficiently. So what does manage mean here? It's basically overseeing all of the stuff that's been created, the reports, the dashboards, all of it.
The analyst is responsible for sharing this content, but also for making sure it's secure. You want the right people to see it, and you definitely want to make sure the wrong people can't.
And the goals for this step are so important for any company. Good management helps teams work together better, it stops sensitive data from leaking out, and it cuts down on problems like having multiple copies of the same data, which just creates confusion. It's really about making the whole system work like it's supposed to.
And there you have it. From that initial prep work of cleaning the data, to modeling its structure, then visualizing the story, analyzing it for those deep insights, and finally, managing and sharing the results. Those 5 steps, that's the complete journey for turning a pile of raw data into something truly valuable.
So now that we've walked through the whole process, I've got a question for you to think about. From preparing the data all the way to visualizing the story, which of these 5 steps sounds the most interesting to you? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me.